Good afternoon, everyone. It's Will Wilson here for the second of our maize silage harvest updates. This one's going to concentrate a bit more on preparing for your maize silage harvest. I know some people, maybe in the Kent area specifically, where it seems to have had some really, really good weather, are coming towards the end of their maize harvest, which is pretty fantastic going. I think the majority of people are just about to start or thinking about it in the next couple of weeks. As you know, ARK Agriculture, we specialise in the storage of maize silage, which includes the clamps and the covers, but we also try and help as much as we can with regards to the filling of the clamps and creating that whole picture. So this whole jigsaw, bringing it all together. So on the topic of clamps, which is the first thing you should think about when you're working with maize silage or your maize silage storage, the first thing to do is basically have a look at what you've got. So look at your clamps in detail. A lot of people are working with clamps that are perhaps old. The average age of a clamp in the UK, based on some research we did with Cambridge University a couple of years ago, is probably over 50 years. So a lot of the clamps that you will be working with or you have on your farm are probably towards the end of their lives. With AD plants, perhaps not. Hopefully your plants are a bit younger than that. So when you're looking at your clamps, the first thing to consider is basically, is this the right clamp for what I'm trying to achieve? If the answer is no, then more typically because it doesn't have the capacity you need, then perhaps now's the time to start thinking about your plan for next year. So what are you going to do next year? Are you going to expand your clamp, replace your clamp, roof your clamp? All of these factors will improve silage quality. So definitely worth considering about that. At this stage of the year, you've probably got the clamps you're going to have to work with. So the sort of next step is you look at your clamp and you have basically clean it is the first step. So a real look at the hygiene of the clamp. I love that expression, clamp hygiene. Basically clean it all out, brush away any of the remaining silage from last year. Look at the joints in particular, so joints between walls and floors, joints between panels in the walls, inspect them for any signs of leakage, and pay real close attention to drains across the front of the clamps. So often this is where we see quite a few issues. It's the sort of, is the drain across the front of the clamp free flowing? Is it going to an appropriate leachate tank? What do you need to do to ensure all of that's gonna work effectively? Because the last thing you want to do is fill your silage clamp, realize your drains are blocked and cause a pollution incident. So yeah, the first couple of steps are clean the clamp out, brush it, don't pressure wash it if you can help it. Pressure washing can damage the panels, but brush the clamp out, check joints around drains, clean drains, and sharpen the whole solution up. So once you've done that, the next biggest challenge is identifying the covers you want to use. It's actually not particularly complicated because what you want to be doing is eliminating oxygen from your clamp. And the really easy or the most effective way to do that is to use an oxygen barrier silage film. There are several available on the market. Obviously, ARK Agriculture have theirs, and ours is called OxySeal. The beauty of a oxygen barrier silage film is you're going to put all that effort into eliminating the oxygen from the silage, and then you cover it with a silage film, and it protects it. It ensures you don't get that top surface waste. And you really will improve the quality of your silage. So just going back a couple of steps before you decide on purchasing your silage film, it's really important you understand how you're going to cover your clamp. It's not uncommon to see people who are covering clamps, and it's a hassle. You know, the labor involved is significant, but that can be made a lot easier if you choose the right size sheets, covers and gravel bags. And to get that right, the best thing to do is ask ARK. So if you give us a call, we will tell you the best way to cover your silage clamp, the appropriate sheet sizes you need, the dimensions, the directions, and the volume of gravel bags, all these different elements. So we can do that design for you and give you like a nice map, a nice diagram. And then off the back of that, you can decide which covers you want to go for. And obviously ARK, we spend a lot of time researching our covers to make sure we're the best on the market. So once you cleaned your clamps, you need to decide on the covers you want. You need to decide on the way you're going to cover your clamp with the diagram, so we can help you with all of those elements. And then the next step really is preparation before you begin filling and compacting. I'm going to talk a bit more about filling and compacting in the next update, but probably the most important thing before you get to that final stage is getting the sidewall sheets up. So lots of people ask us, do we need sidewall films? And the answer is always yes, you do need sidewall films. They improve silage quality and protect the concrete wall panels. So we've kind of got to the steps. If you go through those step by step, and if you need any more advice, give ARK a call. If you follow those steps, you'll be at the situation now where you're thinking about filling the clamp, and that's something we can talk you through in the next video. And now, as for silage and where we're at in the UK, mixed reports coming in. Like I say, Kent, people are well ahead of their silage, and if anything, some of them are actually coming up to finishing their silage harvest. Essex and the southeast seem to be doing very well as well. The slightly quicker harvest might suggest a lower yield, which is perhaps not the best news. But I think in general, people have been surprised, although their silage looks a bit tired and the drought really hasn't benefited it. It hasn't been as terrible as perhaps was expected. So across the country, we're seeing sort of 25% down on where people were hoping to be this time last year in terms of yield. But we have had a really nice period of dry weather for the actual harvest. So people are making good progress. So it's 6 2/3 of it. What will happen, what we're expecting to happen over the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks is the harvest moves across the country from the drier areas where the maize is more advanced, so the southeast, across the Midlands, and then into the sort of Welsh borders and the southwest. What you'll also see, of course, is if you've been using maize under plastic or trialing earlier maturing varieties, you might also be harvesting at the moment. I guess what everyone's hoping for is that the weather stays as clement as it is now. We don't get a huge amount of rain. It's too late for a lot of people, and a lot of rain now would actually damage. It could cause potential issues with harvesting. Wet weather means mud on roads, means slower harvesting, means soil damage. So in terms of a harvest, the actual physical process of harvesting is going pretty well this year. We're just down on yields, and that's something we're going to have to cope with. I guess the importance of storing your silage effectively becomes top of the list again, because you just don't have the extra to waste. So it'd be really good and really interesting to think about that as we go through the year. As always, ARK Agriculture absolutely delighted to help with any of the topics discussed. So give us a call or email us. You can find us at arkagriculture.com. If we can help any more, get in touch. Our next brief update will be about filling and compacting silage clamps. That will be in a week's time, so I look forward to talking you through some of the bits we've learned from that. Other than that, it's wishing everyone a safe harvest, and just remind you need to give us a call about your silage covers. We'd be delighted to help. Thank you very much.